If I don't start today, I'm never going to get it done. How are we doing, people? My name's Matt. I'm a freelance creative consultant and videographer based out in Essex, UK, and I'm available for hire. So why am I here today? Why am I on this side of the camera? And what am I doing on your screen? Firstly, I'm not much of a vlogger, but I believe that this format is going to be a great way to give me a sense of accountability, keep me honest, and give me that extra impetus to go out and get the work. You know, I'm still early days into this, but I want to be able to document this journey, what I'm going through, what I'm experiencing, the wins, the losses, and share that with you. Second reason, I've seen the success of this format. Shout out to David Moorfield out in America, Peter Moorcree. You know, these are guys that I've watched their content probably a year, 2 years ago, and I've watched it recently, and they're still producing. They're still putting out vlogs, still putting out behind the scenes content, and you can see the success that it has had for them in terms of getting business in, and in general, just building a network, building a community for themselves. And my final reason, look, everybody loves a good story. Everybody likes an interesting story arc, and my story is definitely unique. It's definitely interesting. I always tell people I've been a creative all my life. I should have been doing this 10, 15 years ago. If you ask anyone about me, they'll tell you, look, you probably should be doing some sort of music production or video production, some sort of content creation. I've always been a creative person, but I didn't take the traditional path into a creative career. I didn't go to film school. I didn't do any apprenticeships or start out with this sort of stuff 10, 15 years ago when I was younger. I've actually come from a corporate background, spending 5+ years in project management, delivering IT solutions. Probably my biggest claim to fame in my previous career is working for Ford Motor Company, working on a project to put IT systems in for the Ford Focus that launched in 2019 and for the Ford Fiesta that launched in and around the same time. I also worked on delivering microservices that would allow customers to be able to get finance through Ford Credit online in and around the time of the release of the Mach-E. So I come from a professional solutions background. In and around that, I've dabbled in user experience, Six Sigma, design thinking, basically anything creative adjacent that I can get my hands on whilst I was in that world of project management and IT. And it was very much like putting a creative in a box, right? At least that's how I felt in my previous career in project management. I was capable, I could do the job, but I just felt like I didn't fit in, and that I was leaving a lot on the table in terms of my abilities and what I can do and what I can offer for businesses. Like I say, I've been a creative all my life. Started out by playing the guitar when I was age 13. I played throughout my teenage years in a church band, leading the church band, developing my craft. Got to around the age of 18 where I discovered music production and beat making, and I fell in love with that, got really heavy into that. Went into uni to study accounting and finance. Didn't do so great because I spent most of my time just making beats and partying. But yeah, came out of uni, done a bit of sales work, business development work, went back into uni. When I got a master's in management information systems, that's when I then found myself in the world of IT and project management. And then it was around about 3-4 years ago, probably during the pandemic, I took redundancy from Ford and decided, look, I'm going to invest now in this music production work. You know, I'm going to try and turn this into a business. I'm going to look to monetize this skill that I've got here because I enjoy making music and I see people making money from making music. That should be me. Did that for about 1.5 years. In that time, I set up a YouTube channel where I was teaching people how to make music on their iPads. That's very niche, and I saw an opportunity there to sort of be a pioneer and stand out from the rest in teaching music production on a platform that isn't widely known or widely used. In making my YouTube videos, obviously I invested in a camera, and that's where it hit me that, look, I should get into making videos. Because there are a lot more people, there's a greater demand for video than there is for beats. And I can make a lot more money selling video services than I can music production services. So I sought out to get into video production, find any sort of work that can get me into that space. And I shot a couple of real estate videos. And I tell you, after shooting those real estate videos, I realized that yes, this is what I want to be doing. This is a bit of me. Obviously, couldn't keep doing the music production stuff without a job, so I ended up getting a job, and that job ended up being my last job, actually. The underfloor heating store. I went in there as a project manager, but in the latter stages of my contract, I actually got the opportunity to shoot videos for them. So Eddie, my boss at the time, came up to me. He knew that I was that way inclined. I was creative. In fact, I stated that in my interview. I said, look, I'm more than just a project manager. I can do X, I can do Y. And he came up to me, approached me and said, look, Matt, we want to start shooting installation videos of our products. Can you give us some guidance, how we go about it? And I set about drawing them up a gear list. I advised them on investing in camera equipment. It's 2023 at the time. Companies need to have their own camera equipment and create their own content. I advised them on that. They took my advice. We invested in gear, and I went on to produce four or five long-form installation videos for the business. And it was at that point there, I had that intersection of I'm doing what I've been raised up on with project management. I've been doing that for 4 or 5 years now at this point. But now I get to do the kind of stuff that I love doing, the stuff that I'm passionate about, creating. My dad always said to me when I was younger, you're better with your hands, right? And that is exactly what I find myself doing when I'm creating. I'm using my hands and I'm creating great stuff. And yeah, that was around 2023. Did those videos. My project management contract came to an end. And the discussion was around, we don't need a project manager anymore, but we'd love you to come back and freelance for us as a videographer. You're doing great work with us on the video side of things. We'd love you to come back and be a videographer for us. And that's where things changed for me. That's where I was thrust into the deep as a freelance videographer. And 2 years on, we're still at it. I'm actually on my way to Legoland today. We're taking the kids out for the day. But we've got some beautiful weather. So yeah, I've been doing this for 2 years now. It's been a journey. It's had its highs, it's had its lows. I hit the ground running. I had 2 great clients. One of them was my former employee on a retainer. And then the other client was a leading YouTuber in the gas engineering and plumbing space, Alan Hart. That was another retainer. I spent a good year working with him, learned a lot about social media content, creating content for influencers, creating content on behalf of businesses with influencers, and really making observations and learning the game of content and what businesses are really looking for in content. Because social media is a new space, and I feel that there are a lot of businesses that are going into it not knowing much, and then there are a lot of businesses that are going in perhaps misguided or misled by sort of the wrong messengers. So I've learned a lot in the last year and a half. I've actually been shooting a lot of automotive content. So when I started out with this, I thought to myself, okay, I've got a couple of clients, but that's maybe about a week at most of work in a month. How do I go about sharpening my skills and going out and getting more opportunities to create content? So I went to a car show in Chelmsford, A10 Meets, and created some content off the back of that show, put a highlight reel together, and people really took to it. People really liked it, and I thought to myself, wow, maybe I might be pretty good with this events, automotive content sort of thing. And I just went on from there, discovered car meets in London, spent a good year going to a lot of car meets, creating a lot of cool content. But then another switch happened for me. I realized that the car meet content, yeah, it looks great, people love it on social media, but it's not going to pay the bills. And frankly, a lot of businesses, they frown on that kind of content. So I had to make the conscious decision to move away from, sort of attending car meets and creating content on car meets, and venture into a different space within the automotive world. And that's when I stumbled on supercars, started filming supercars, going to supercar meets, discovered the DJI Pocket 3, invested in that, started filming rollers, and it's been a roller coaster over 2 years. Like I say, I've started this now because I want to be able to document this journey. I am very much in the early days of it. Like I say, I call myself a creative consultant and videographer. I've started out as a videographer, but I believe creative consultant is where I'm going to end up. It's where I want to end up, because I believe that I possess a unique blend of skills that span across creative and sort of professional services, business solutions. My ideal client, it's businesses. You know, I spent a lot of my working life working in the corporate world, working for businesses, working as a project manager, working on delivering solutions, technical solutions that will drive growth, that are strategic in nature. And I've always enjoyed that. I've always enjoyed problem solving for businesses. And all I ever wanted to do is be able to bring on my creative skills and deliver solutions from a creative aspect. And now I'm in the space now where I am a creative consultant. I still want to work with businesses. I still want to provide solutions for businesses, but of a creative ilk. As far as this format goes, I'm not going to go about this the typical way like you may see other content creators do. I'm not going to be talking about gear so much. I'm not going to be talking about how to film this, tips, tricks. I'm not going to be selling you any courses. I'm not here to sell any courses to you. This format, I want to be, like I say, sharing my journey, but also sharing insights from my observations. Look, I'm an overthinker. And I think I'm an overthinker, and the one credit I've got to give to my overthinking is that it's led me to become a critical thinker, an observer. I do a lot of observing, and I've got a lot of takes and insights that I want to provide that I think might help you, whether you're a videographer, whether you're a business looking for content, or whether you're just someone that's generally interested in social media marketing and content. You know, I've been in this 2 years, and granted, I'm still cutting my teeth into it and learning more things. But I think with my former experience in IT, in delivering solutions, and in working with businesses at a strategic level, I feel that my time spent in this space now, there are things that I can observe and provide takes on that I feel will be valuable. I feel they will be valuable. I can't speak to how regular this is going to be. Obviously, this is episode 1. It's taken me a very, very long time to get to this point. In fact, I've spent the best part of 3 months procrastinating over doing this. I want to do it. That's why I've gone out and done it. You know, if I don't start today, I'm never going to get it done, and that will be sad because I feel there's some value I can give to anyone watching this, even if it's just in following the journey, right? Like I say, I've come into a career, I've come into potentially a 30, 40 year career 10 years late. I should have been doing this right from when I was 18, 19, 20. I haven't. I spent my time in another world of work. At the time, I was very reluctant about my career choices, my educational choices, the advice I followed from my parents as to what I should do with my life. But in hindsight, looking back on it, I think that it's not all bad. I think it's actually set out to make me a more rounded professional, a more rounded creative professional. I sit right in that middle. If you look at a Venn diagram of creative services and corporate professional services and skills, I sit right in that middle bit, that middle intersection between what the business wants, what they think they want, and that being communicated in business speak. And on the other side, well, this is how we turn this into X piece of content, Y technical deliverable. I'm able to translate that business speak into technical requirements, technical specification, creative spec, to deliver a solution that actually gets results. There are a lot of great videographers, video professionals, content creators out there. I feel that what I offer differently is my understanding of how business works, my exposure to the corporate world, my exposure to strategic consulting, and my exposure to these other little areas within professional services, like your user experience. I'm very much customer focused when I'm working. Even when I'm working with a client, I'm thinking about their customer and how their customer will experience the product or service that's being delivered. There are all these other technical and soft skills that I possess that, anchored onto my creative abilities that I've always had, make me a well-rounded professional that I think once businesses start to give me a chance, they'll see the benefit of it. But hey, this has been episode 1. I've rambled on a lot. I've probably cut this down from a lot of waffling. If you've enjoyed this, please subscribe, please like, please leave a comment below as well. Yeah, look out for the next episode. Peace.